Look at this pasty, pale ass face right now. I was gonna finally put some makeup on today because I've been sick for the past couple days and it's not been a lot of fun. But look at this shade. This shade and my face right now is, nope, it's not gonna even match because I'm still the corpse's bride today. So, alright. Maybe we'll just try some eyeshadow instead. Stick with me. This is going to be an interesting video. Alright, so this is probably going to be a random compilation of just crap because we're gonna do some magic. I'm gonna catch you up on the reasons I've not been posting, whether you give two shits or not. Gonna give you an update anyway. I've been sick for the last couple days on top of something else that happened, and so mentally my mind is just, we're really just not there. And a couple days ago I was honestly pretty damn depressed, and you'll understand why. So, if my sarcasm level is exceptionally high today, it's because I'm trying to kick myself out of depression right now. So, gonna try and not cough and hack through this entire video. So I've got some tea right here. I'm not a tea girl at all, so like it's actually difficult for me to like want to drink a bunch of tea. I mean, I like the occasional iced tea, like if it's really fruity and like sweet, pretty much if it has a lot of sugar in it, which is not good for you, I know. But that's kind of my style. It's kind of like coffee. It's a frappuccino. Like, it's gotta be sugary, sweet, mainly, you know, the good stuff, very little espresso, and that's my thing. Or I like hot chocolate. But for you guys, I guess it's like a thing witchy people do on their channel. I'm simply drinking traditional medicinals. It's called Throat Coat, which is hopefully going to do its job. And I'm pretty sure you can get this at like your local Walmart. So, for those interested. Okay, so, where do I even start? Alright. Since I've moved to Excelsior Springs, it has not been a good time. In fact, funny enough, last night I had a dream where I was in a school setting and the teacher literally told me to get the fuck out of Missouri. And I'm starting to feel like that is a very good idea. Of course, I'm stuck here for the next year. And the apartment, I keep saying it's an apartment. It's actually a house, and I have the upstairs of the house, and it's actually a very nice layout. However, when I first moved in, I was like Wheezy from Toy Story, you know, the little penguin who just, that annoying character that you're glad that he only had like 3 minutes of screen time because he was just annoying to listen to. But that was me on move-in day. And don't get me wrong, I'm an asthmatic baby. Like, let's just set the picture. I have asthma, and it can be induced by like a lot of physical activity. It is what it is. However, I'm not usually that out of breath after moving. Like, not that bad. Like, I could hardly breathe. In fact, thank God, thank the universe or whatever you believe in that I had my parents and my sister there, because if I didn't, I don't know how I would have gotten moved in. Like, I just wouldn't have, because I did not have the strength or apparently the lung capacity to make it. So then I find out after a couple of days of, not even a couple days, like a day of living here, I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I could not breathe at all. Could not breathe. And I'm like, what is going on here? And of course, everyone around here lives in a small little town. So I kid you not, the minute we pulled up with the moving van, the neighbors swarmed us. Like, swarmed us. Like an ant infestation. Like, they just swarmed us. I guess that would be bees. I don't know. But anyway, they all came out and were like all in our business. And they were really, really sweet. Like my neighbors are really, really sweet. So I don't want to make it sound like they're like weird or whatever. Even though I'm pretty sure my neighbor downstairs, well, first of all, I think she thinks she's a DJ because she's constantly playing the top songs from the 2000s every single night on like loud. And then her daughter just moved in, so she's singing on the top of her lungs with, I don't know, herself or the dog, I'm not sure. And so I'm like, last couple days I've just been sick, and I'm just like, I don't really want to hear, you know, airplane, you know, like I just don't really, that's not gonna help me feel better when I can't sleep to your DJ music. And I think she does weed pretty heavily, which for anybody who would be out there who's like, there's nothing wrong with weed. No, you're right. I don't have a problem with weed. In fact, I done some fairly recently to kind of help my brain kind of reset and just cool down from the stress I've been going through lately. So I have no problem with weed. Now, obviously, I just started a new job that involves driving around kids. So I will not be participating in the miracle plant, or whatever you want to call it. But I just have a problem with the smell. And I'll tell you what, I know all these states think it's really awesome and great to have it all legalized and stuff, but I tell you what, I hate my morning commutes every morning because without fail, I end up behind the one person that is smoking the whole bong in the car on the way to work. And I'm just like, and then it gets into my car and gives me like an insta headache. So thank you for that. I legit don't have a problem with weed. I just hate the smell. Like, having fibromyalgia, I'm super sensitive to scent. So, like, that smell just nauseates me. I'd almost rather smell a dead skunk. I'm not even kidding. But that's just me bitching about something else. So anyway, had to leave my apartment at 4 a.m., dragging my dog with me, and waking my parents up at like 4:30 in the morning, which they really appreciated and obviously felt bad because I couldn't breathe. So then we realized that the filter, well, the filter alone was absolutely disgusting. This house was built in probably the 1920s. That thing hadn't been replaced since like the 1900s. So it was gross, and I don't even understand why they would let someone move into this place knowing that it was that dirty and that backed up. Because then I also found out from the neighbors, which later became a thing, that the piece of shit tenant, and I don't feel bad saying that after everything that's happened, the piece of shit tenant that lived here beforehand had 2 cats, which, not a problem, except for the fact, 1, I'm very allergic to cats, like really allergic to cats, like cats and horses. If you want to kill me, just put me in a room with cats and horses and I'd be gone, because I'm just super allergic to them. And 2, this piece of shit tenant, once again, and I could use more colorful language if I wanted to because I'm just so upset by what ended up happening, she decided to dump her cats on the street when she left. And so those said cats have been wandering around my house needing care. And this is all relevant to a little bit later story. So, anyway, that's relevant because of the air filtration system was just blowing out constant dander and dust. And I mean, that thing was the most rusty, dusty thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And I don't even understand, like I said, why they didn't replace it. So I was like, contacting the property. I was like, hey, we need a professional duct cleaning service. Because, oh, then the two people on maintenance staff, they look like they're sharing one brain cell between the two of them. No offense, but, and I highly doubt they're gonna see this, but seriously, sharing about one brain cell between the two of them, like, just, I don't know what they were high on, but they just looked like they were, this shows you how much it was showing. So my ex-husband was actually nice enough to help me drive over the ferrets, because he's got a truck now, and so he helped me drop them off, and he didn't even really want to leave me alone with these two dipshits, because he was like, are you gonna be okay? I was like, I've got a taser, I've got pepper spray, and I've got collie sticks. So, and considering they both look higher than kites right now, I like my odds. I mean, it's still 2 against 1, but I like my odds. So, because I've been taking an exotic weapons class, which is super fun. And turns out, it doesn't take you too long before you can actually do some moves that make you somewhat lethal. And I'm not saying I'm no, Jackie Chan, because there's only one of him. But someday I would love to be a freaking badass. Like, one day. I'm working on completely transforming myself into a new version, into a new life, into just a version of me that I'd be happy and proud of being. Anywho, so yeah, they did bring in a professional duct cleaning service. It still took about a week before I could move back in though, because then, not only that, I wanted to open up some windows to maybe just get some fresh air in, because that's a good thing to do anyway, especially like if you're a witchy person. We sometimes just like open up the windows, let all the energy out, like I always feel a difference like when I do the cleaning sessions where I just cleanse everything and I open the windows, and it feels so much lighter. And I feel like I haven't really been able to do that here because none of the fucking windows have fucking screens. So my 2 options were suffocate and die from the dust, or let all the bugs in, because of course it's been nice. It's been the best February ever, to be honest, because it's just been so nice out, which thank the universe it was, because I don't think I would have made it through February this year if that had been the case. So if it had been cold and dark and yeah, and gray, like February is a hard month for me, like, and I know that's the case for a lot of people. February is just kind of that blah month where you're like, why does this month even exist? Like, we could cut it out of the calendar and I'd be fine with it. And that's nothing personal for people born in February. You guys are all lovely people. I hate that month. It's cold, it's miserable, there's nothing to look forward to. And yeah, so anyway, finally moved in. Then had a whole dramatic situation with the cats. So yeah, the kitties. The first few days I was actually here, there's a kitty that wouldn't let me touch her. Like, every time she saw me, she would kind of run away. And I've been leaving food out and water for them because I had heard that those 2 kitties had originally lived there. And it was funny because the one kitty kept acting like he kind of wanted to come inside a little bit. And I was like, dude, if I wasn't allergic, I'd adopt every stinking one of you on the street. Like, I really would. I love cats. Like, I love cats. Always have. We've had cats growing up, and my immune system was a little bit better where I could handle having a cat. But ever since Fibro Man, that has gone downhill. In fact, I'm lucky I can even keep my ferrets, and the only reason I can keep them is because they are, first of all, very small. Second of all, they have their own distinct room that they stay in, and they have each other, so they have plenty of space to roam, plenty of space to play. But I can only interact with them for so long at a time. Which, was it smart for me to get ferrets? Probably not. But selfishly, I've always wanted ferrets, and so I was like, you know what, we're gonna make this work. And you know what, they're plenty happy. They are just fine. But as a recommendation, piece of advice, if you are allergic to cats, odds are you're allergic to ferrets, and even if you desperately want one, probably don't get one, because they're gonna make you pretty sneezy. But anyway, then the other day, I guess was it Friday? Saturday? I think it was Saturday. Saturday, Kitty came up to me finally, and I could tell something was up. She was just drooling a lot. She had just this smell to her, which, I mean, they've been outdoor kitties for a while, so God only knows what they're getting into. But she just had this smell, and it was a distinct, sick smell. You know, not, or at least that's what I was sensing. It wasn't like, oh, I've been rolling in the dirt smell. It's, oh, I've got something going on. And so finally she let me pet her, and I was like, okay. And then I realized she was pregnant. So not only did that piece of shit owner just abandon her cat on the street, they were also pregnant. So that just alone infuriates me. I don't care what your damn situation is. You do not just abandon your animal on the street, let alone when they're pregnant. Pregnant kitties need care. You know, just like humans. You don't leave a pregnant woman out on the street and hope she can just figure it out. And so I was like, okay, Mama, we're gonna figure out what to do here. So of course I let Mama inside the house. She actually let me pick her up and bring her inside. And of course it was Saturday. So the vet clinics, at least in this shitty little town, weren't open. They're open every other Saturday. And of course, they don't post that on their freaking website. So you drive this poor cat all the way to the vet, and then there's a sign on the door. It says, oh, sorry, we're not open until, 5 Saturdays from now. And you're like, fan-freaking-tastic. Great. What am I supposed to do with this cat? PetSmart wouldn't take her, Petco wouldn't take her because she was pregnant. So they're like, I'm sorry, just gonna have to figure it out. I'm like, are you people freaking kidding me right now? I need some help. Everyone was so nonchalant about it. And I guess I just get heated about this kind of stuff because I love animals and I treat them as if they were human beings. They're equal in my eyes. So it drives me crazy when people are just like, well, it is what it is. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not is what it is. Somebody freaking help me. And so, long story short, obviously, there was no vet that was open, or even the vets that were too far away. So by the time I got to them, they would have been closed. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna have to wing this. So I'm calling up my ex-mother-in-law, which she honestly is so caring and so kind. and she actually does not like cats. Like, she's not a cat person, and it's not because she like had a bad cat experience. She just has never been around cats, and her mother was kind of like anti-animal in general. She's the same one who made my ex-mother-in-law get rid of her dog when she moved in with her because, you know, she was getting old and decrepit, and she was kind of a selfish woman, honestly. So anywho, I'm calling her and I'm like, I'm so sorry to ask you this. Like, I would not ask you this unless I had any other option. Like, I have this pregnant cat. She's probably about to give birth anytime. I don't know. She looks like she's about to give birth. And I need a safe spot for her to do so. And she has an unfinished part of her basement that she has like carpets in and everything. And obviously I'm Google researching nonstop all these videos about cat pregnancy and kittens, and like, I'm not equipped to deal with this. I've never dealt with this in my life, man. I was not expecting to be a cat doula, alright? Like, this was not on my radar at all. And so she's like, of course, bring the pregnant cat over. We'll figure it out. And so I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. Are you sure? And she's like, of course, yeah, it's totally fine. And so brought her over, set her up in the basement. Like, I made the, what do you call it? There's a specific term for it. Like a box, scavenging? No, what's it called? I don't know. A certain box that you make up for them that's like sheltered and covered and like warm so that they feel protected, but not like covered heavily in blankets, because when she does give birth, you obviously don't want the kittens to like suffocate in the blankets. So just like, I put a small blanket like kind of on the bottom, and then I put like pads over the top. So she had a really flat, safe spot to give birth. And so she, of course, when we first got in there, I had food and water for there, a litter box, you know, the essentials for her. And I was like, okay, this is all I can do. And now I'm just gotta kind of monitor her every little bit to see kind of how she's doing. And she was just pacing around, and she was super friendly, so sweet. And like, you could tell she was just very appreciative. Like, you can sense that in animals. And it's like she somehow, it's so funny, all throughout my life, stray animals, hurt animals, they've always found their way to me, which is always really humbling, and it makes me feel really good that the universe is like, yeah, you have a connection with animals, so we're gonna send you this animal who needs some help. But it also can be really painful because the story doesn't exactly have a happy ending. So anyway, long story short, she gives birth like in the middle of the night, and towards the morning, because I got up to go to the bathroom and I could hear her making her noises, and I came in and sure as shit, she had already like she'd already like finished it up. And it's like she gave birth to 2 outside of the cage, and then she gave birth to the rest of them inside. And there are 2 that she had like left behind. And I was like, oh shit, please don't be dead. They were both still alive. She took the one back. She rejected the other one. And long story short, mamas know. Animals know. They have just an instinct when they know one of them's not gonna make it, and it feels so harsh because she just kept rejecting this kitten. Like, even if I put him back in there, she would just push him away. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. And so I was like, I gotta go to the store and get kitten formula. But of course, by now, it's freaking Sunday, and nothing opens until like, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I was like, great, I have no idea. This kitten can't go this long without food. But it was 10 o'clock when PetSmart finally opened, and I was like, alright, that's the best I got. So I rushed over there at 10 o'clock to get kitten formula and a bottle and a syringe, and try and get this kitten to eat, because if they don't eat, they're gonna die. And it seemed promising at first. Like I gave him a little bit of the formula, and he was drinking, not a lot, but at least some. And then of course I was just trying to keep him warm. And then things went south. He just stopped drinking. And so at this point I was like, okay, it's called fading kitten syndrome. And it's not uncommon for a kitten to get this. And it's within like the first 4 weeks of life where they're really in danger of getting this. And this kitten had it right off the bat. And so I was like, okay, just make this little guy comfortable. There's only so much I could do, of course, for it being on a Sunday. And so I was like, alright. Literally got up with him every 2 hours to try to get him to eat. That was really painful because it just wasn't working. And then I was like, okay. I was really hoping he would just go peacefully in the night, but of course he didn't. So Monday I had to drive my kiddos to school because I help drive like foster kids to school. And obviously they need like a stable life as well. So dropped my kid off, came back. Kitty was still hanging on, and at this point it was just pretty much breaking my heart. And it wasn't pretty much, it was breaking my heart. I was like, I can't do this any longer, like this is awful. I was just holding him and he was just making these noises and he was trying so hard, but I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but if you won't eat, you know, like there's nothing I can do. And so finally I was like, which I don't know why it didn't hit me before that point to do this, but honestly I think my brain was just so wrapped up in everything, and I was just trying to do what was best for them. And I honestly thought he was just gonna go peacefully, like while he slept, but that didn't happen. And then I researched that it could take days for them to finally pass. And I was like, no way, I can't go through this for days. So I took him to the closest animal hospital and they had to put him down. And that was the most painful thing I have ever done. And I'm sorry for getting upset. Every time I talk about it, it's hard. But I'm telling this story not just to overshare my life, but also, like, listen, I get it. Sometimes life throws you hardballs that you just, you know, weren't prepared to handle. Like this lady, she sounded like a train wreck. She destroyed the apartment, I guess. When she owned it, like, she completely trashed the place. So she obviously did not have her shit together at all. But the least you can do is make sure your animal goes to some kind of shelter, some kind of rescue, so that they can at least have the best chance of finding a new safe home that'll actually care for them responsibly. Especially if they're pregnant, man. Like, so I'm just saying that is, like, I understand, like, if you have any kind of soul, I guess, you would feel guilt just giving up your animal, even though I've seen it happen before where people have literally brought in their dog that they've had for like 15 years and then just drop it off because it's old. Like, people are just heartless sometimes towards animals, and I do not understand it. Like, it makes me so angry. Like, anytime injustice is done to animals or kids, like, it just ignites a fury in me that I don't understand it. I really don't. And so that kitten passed away. then I came back because fortunately my mom was super helpful in finding a foundation, like a rescue sanctuary for kitties. And I think it's called Ace's Animal Sanctuary. And we definitely donated to them as a thank you because they saved the rest of the kittens. But when I came back to get Mama, I found that another kitten had passed away. So that was terrible then too, because I was like, great, now I get to bury 2 kittens. Took Kitty and Mama and kitties to the rescue sanctuary, dropped them off, they were safe, and then I get an email the next morning saying that Mama had sepsis and that she wasn't gonna make it. So they had to put Mama down too. So I really just fucking curse the woman who did this. Like, I really do. Like, I fucking curse her so much. Because this would not have happened. This would not have happened if she had just done the responsible thing and taken her cat to a shelter of some sort. You know, and I know maybe not always an animal shelter, but obviously the sanctuary was close. It would have been easy to do. It would have been the responsible thing to do. And so, obviously that broke my heart too, because I was like, well, I failed her. I completely failed her. And of course everyone around me told me that wasn't true, obviously. The lady at the shelter told me that those 4 other kittens would not have survived if I hadn't brought them to her. And they're doing good, as so far so good. So a lot of manifestation, a lot of prayers that hopefully they'll pull through and be okay. Because obviously they have to be bottle fed now. But I guess they're all really strong eaters. So I'm hoping they pull through. So yeah. That's what's been going on right now. And then I didn't have internet until literally a couple days ago. So yeah, that's why I haven't been posting. And I know I'm a very small channel, but I obviously appreciate anyone who does watch, as I'm just starting out and kind of finding my groove. And I love to be creative. I feel like social media can be such an amazing place to share, or it can be like your worst nightmare depending on what you're listening to. So I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer for everybody. I, in general, want this to be a really positive space where we just talk about, you know, magic and, you know, other happy things, and like I will be doing some magic here, a little like sun spell, as well as like it's a spell for me, like a plant spell to kind of grow my intentions for the rest of this year and really officially start kind of working towards my goals. But yeah, and then so the internet guy, gotta share this story. So the internet guy he was a real nice guy, but I don't think he understands the concept of maybe there's just certain things you don't talk about when you're with a woman alone in her apartment. Because so I had told him that I was dealing with cats and stuff, and I asked him, you know, hey, do you have any animals at your house? And he's like, oh yeah, we pretty much have a farm and we've got like a whole bunch of animals, and including ducks. And I was like, oh, interesting. And he's like, male ducks are really aggressive. I was like, okay. I mean, I've heard of maybe like geese and stuff, like if you, like they'll hiss at you. Like if you come too close to them, they'll give you the what's what. And I was like, oh, thinking that's what he meant. And he goes, no, they pretty much like rape the female ducks. And I was like, interesting word choice when I'm by myself in my apartment with no help. Like, interesting word choice. And so I was just like, oh, okay, oh, all right. And then he goes on to tell me about his son and how his son loves to like star in little like films that he and his friend do together. Like his friend has wanted to go to film school since like forever, I guess, which is really awesome. And I guess he's really pretty talented at it. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, my son likes to play the serial killer. And I'm just like, wow, you must be so proud. Like, of course I was joking, but I'm just like, great, we're talking about rape and serial killers. And I'm like, this is making me feel real safe right now. And so, of course, I know he was just making conversation, but it just made me laugh because I was like, those are two things that would make someone feel really uncomfortable being in their apartment by themselves, like with this bigger guy that, yeah, if somebody wanted to do something, it would be all too easy, you know, like, so I was just like, all right, taking 5 steps back from you, like, there's the door, have a great day, thanks for setting up my internet, hopefully you don't have like a pick lock to get back in later, like, but that's my imagination running absolutely wild. So anywho, yeah, I'm trying to think if there is anything else I wanted to talk about. Oh, so now that I've moved out here to Nowhereville, Excelsior Springs, which, don't get me wrong, I'm really glad I'm super close to work, like that's super helpful, but now I'm farther away from my other job, so when I have to drive the kiddos, like, to and from school, now it's like an hour drive back home in fucking traffic, which I haven't had to deal with in like a really long time. And people around here are the stupidest fucking drivers I've really ever encountered. Like, I don't understand it. Like, traffic should not be at a standstill. Like, I understand rush hour traffic, but this isn't even like rush hour traffic. This is called like little like sections that just get backed up for absolutely no reason. Like, no reason at all. Like, yesterday, driving home, there was a car pulled over on the side of the road with like a pickup truck, and there was like traffic backed up for miles as if there'd been this huge horrible crash. And then we drive past the truck and then it opens up again. I'm like, you guys are really this freaking entertained by a tow truck and a car on the side of the road? This is what we're gawking at right now. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, why? It's just a tow truck, guys. Like, it's not a transformer. Like, what are we doing? And then it's just like stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, all the way home. And then my favorite was, I saw, so you know those like student driver stickers that people put on their cars, like if their kid is learning how to drive and it's like, please be patient, I'm learning. I totally understand that, that's fine. But then you pull up to the car and you see like this 50-year-old, 60-year-old woman, and I'm like, you are not a student driver, man. And I'm not even sure you have a teenager anymore. I mean, you might, but the odds of you having a teenager at this point, probably not very good. In fact, she might have been even older. She could have been like in her 70s. And I was like, that sticker does not apply anymore. That's called you just want pity for being a bad driver. Like, you do not have a student anymore. Like, that is very clear. You're just a freaking bad driver. And so I'm like, no. Like, no. I have no niceness anymore. Like, I didn't used to be one to be like road ragey, but now I'm that person yelling at the car in front of me who obviously can't go any faster due to the 20 other cars in front of them. But I don't know, letting out a little rage. I found recently that letting out some aggression has actually been really good for me. With the exotic weapons class, I love hitting, I say hitting people, we're not really hitting people, we're hitting other people's like sticks and swords, but even though I'll tell you what, I got freaking bruised the last time I went, oh my god, and it's embarrassing to say that I got this bruise from like a 12-year-old, because it doesn't matter how old you are, if you happen to be able to get a hit in with those wooden like sword things with like the string attached to them, and it smacks your raw body, it's gonna leave a freaking mark. And so my entire wrist was just like bruised, like all the way around, because I was wearing gloves, but the freaking gloves were too big for me. And so finally I just caved, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna be doing this for a while, so I just need to order some of my own shit so that I can actually, I don't know, protect myself a little bit. So that this doesn't happen again. But he got me once on the wrist really hard, and then he slammed into my leg once too. I hit him in the groin on accident, or was it? Because this was the same little dude that kept trying to correct me during the Cali sticks, and I'm like, no dude, I'm pretty sure it's you who's doing it wrong. But anywho, yeah, so I got a groin shot in. He whipped up my leg pretty good. So yeah, it's a fun sport. It's loads of fun, and it lets you get your aggression out, which I think is really healthy for me right now, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been really down lately, guys. Like, I don't know if everyone else has been feeling it. I know people at work, when I talk to them, they've been feeling it. Like, just a heaviness in the world right now, and it's been that for a while, but it's just been really getting me down. So I'm like, I just need to focus on what positivity I can bring to the world, and maybe not pay so much attention to all this other stuff around me, because I'm drowning in it right now. Like, I'm really struggling to find joy right now, and I mean, I feel like I've been struggling with that for the last few years, but it's rough, man. So, oh, there's a pretty blue jay. Just flew by me. Anywho, and if it, oh, one more thing I want to share. Okay, so I did invite like house spirits into my house, and I've already had an experience. So I had this bag of like partially used candles, like stick candles and like Dollar Tree little holders. And I had it on my kitchen table, and like I had it on the kitchen table, guys. Like, this would not have fallen off like super easily. And then I was just in the bedroom, and all of a sudden I hear it crash to the floor, like by itself. There was nobody near it. It was just me in the house, like nobody near it. And so I was like, oh my god. And so I go in there, and sure as shit, the thing's on the floor, and one of the candle holders like broke. And so, and I don't think the spirit wasn't being like violent. It was just letting me know it was there, because I told them, you know, hey, go ahead and let me know that you're here if you're wanting to be here. I said, as long as you're friendly and, you know, you don't mean any harm. So I don't think it was meaning to do harm. I think it was just trying to find a way to let me know it was there. And knocking over my spell candles, well, that would be a good sign. And so then I went to my pendulum board, because I like tarot, but pendulums with yes and no questions, like, that's just simple, it's clean, like, it's easy to do. So I got my pendulum board out, and I was like, okay, is there a spirit in here? And of course it said yes. And I was like, were you trying to let me know that you were here? And it said yes. And I was like, are you friendly? And it said yes. And I was like, are you wanting an offering? And it said yes. And I was like, okay. I was like, will alcohol suffice? And it said yes. And so I was like, okay, in the future, which was my bad because I didn't specify how to let me know that they're there. I was like, in the future, maybe we don't need to break things, you know, like we can just do some knocks on the wall or something like that, or, you know, something that doesn't involve damaging property. And so it agreed. It was like, yes. I was like, okay. I was like, so I put my alcohol offering out and it seemed to have satisfied it. And then it was funny because I also did another pendulum reading with my spirit guide. And first of all, I don't know why I don't do more of those with him, because he just makes me feel so much better afterwards. Because he just confirmed a lot of things. It made me feel better about a lot of things. But it was so funny because at one point I was like, because when I moved in, I just had like a sense that there was like a lady here. Like, like I don't know why. I just felt like there was a lady present. And so I was like, okay. So I asked my spirit guide, I was like, are there any spirits associated with the house? And I had been asking him other questions previously, and he was like a dead on answering. Like he just answered them like just really fast, really accurately. Like the pendulum like just was very accurate. And then like I had felt his energy all the way up to that point. And then I was like, are there any spirits associated with the house? And all of a sudden, like, I kid you not, I felt his presence leave for a minute. He left for a minute as if he was like kind of circling the house, kind of like looking around. And then he came back and he was like, no. I was like, okay, so there actually aren't any spirits attached to the house. But then I asked, are there any spirits that like pass through? And he said, maybe. So I was like, and then I asked him, well, are these spirits just attached to the land? Because this town is pretty haunted. And so he was like, yes. I was like, okay. So I'm like, I'm totally fine with spirits just passing through as long as they're friendly. Like, that is the key word, friendly. I don't need any other troublesome things right now in my life. So we were very specific on the friendliness side of things. But yeah, if it's just a house spirit that wants to pass through, and I do feel like I hear like little noises and stuff, and then it could have been me just being sick the other day and not remembering. Oh, that's the other weird thing. I swear when you're sick and you have a high fever, like your logic kind of leaves for a little bit and you're able to like hear things more. And I feel like I was just hearing snippets of conversation just all around me. And that was really weird because I felt kind of not grounded. like I was in a dream, spacing out and hearing voices, and could have just been me going crazy and hallucinating. But I firmly kind of believe that when we are sick, our defenses go down and we're able to experience more from the other side. That's my theory. I have no idea if that's right or not. But I was hearing stuff, and I couldn't even tell you what it was because I was so out of it, but I was definitely hearing like words and conversation. Like when you get into a deep trance and like you open up your mind and you can hear maybe snippets of words and stuff like come to you, that's on purpose, you know, like sure, that's, I feel like spirit or spirit guides talking to me. But this was weird. Anyway, so yeah, I do have at least one house spirit so far, which I'm totally fine with. I'm good with. I need to start working with my ancestors again after all of this. Like, I was starting to work with them, and then of course I haven't for the last couple weeks, so I feel bad about that. But honestly, like, I haven't even been able to do anything magical really recently. So we're gonna do some magic tomorrow with the sun, and then probably post that. Maybe as a separate video because I've been talking for a long time. So sorry that this first video was a little heavy coming back, but it'll get better. And I'm here for you if anybody else is going through kind of a rough spot, because you need a good support system. You need somebody you can talk to. I know I've been like majorly struggling, and I've been so lucky to have my parents there for me. Obviously my spirit guide is very very much in my business all the time. Every day I see him show up in some kind of way, which is absolutely amazing because he keeps me going a lot. In fact, even recently I've just been feeling like, yeah, I just kind of want to give up. Like I don't what's the purpose anymore? And it's always this very kind, like, you don't mean that. You don't mean that. You have more ambitions, you have more things that you want to accomplish, you have more things that you need to achieve. Like, you don't mean that. And it's true. It's true. I think sometimes it's just natural to feel in a place of like, you just forget that you really do have a purpose and you have meaning, and that, yeah, sometimes the meaning is really painful. But then, like, other times you get the perfect, like, quote right at the perfect moment. And that happened while I was scrolling through Instagram, and there's, like, this thing that was talking about how, like, bringing joy to others and, like, being kind and caring, even amongst, like, pain, is a beautiful thing. And that sometimes happiness, even if it's not your own, is like the best thing that you can give. And so I'm like, yeah, that's true, you know? We keep making a difference. We just keep trying to make a difference the best way we know how. And if you're giving back, if you're doing positive things, then you're helping to fix your little corner of the world, you know? And if each person does that, we make it a little less dark. And I guess that's what we've got to hang on to, because otherwise this world just keeps getting darker. And if the people that are doing good in the world give up, then we've got nothing left. So keep making your difference, whatever that is. And I'm gonna leave it there. So I will probably do a separate video for the sun plant ritual. Oh, one more thing. So I went on a nature walk the other day and just sank my feet into some water and listened to some, like, Scottish music. Oh my god, there's something so epic about, like, Scottish, like, I don't know, theatrical music. It moves me. It moves me. That and jazz music. There's something, those two things, like, legitimately get to my soul. And but I found this really cool stick. Look at this cool stick, guys. I know I'm getting excited over a stick, but it is a really cool looking stick, and I'm gonna definitely turn it into a wand. Like, it's perfect and so smooth, and like it's just like a perfect stick for a wand. And I've been looking for one that, like, or kind of more like a staff, I guess. I don't know. We're gonna use it for something, and I'd love to, like, carve stuff into it. It's gonna be cool. Anywho, that's me getting excited over a stick. You would have thought I was a golden retriever. When I saw that thing, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best stick ever. Anywho, I guess I'm gonna leave it at that. Be kind, stay curious, always speak your truth. I will see you a little bit later for some uplifting magic. See you later.